Once again, welcome to Meat Science class. Today's topic is organic and transgenic meat production. These two are highly contrasting topic. In the first one, we will understand what is organic farming and what is organic meat. And in the second one, we will try to understand that's a modern development about the transgenic meat production. What is organic farming? It is a unique production system which promotes and enhances agro-ecosystem health, including biodiversity, socio-economic, biological cycles, and soil biological activity, and this is accomplished by using on-farm agronomic, biological, and mechanical methods in exclusion of all synthetic off-farm inputs. So in a simple sense, it is a more natural type of farming where no artificial things will be used and the environment, ecosystem, natural biodiversity should be preserved. That's what is the meaning of this definition given by Codex Alimentarius Committee. It's a joint committee of WHO and FAO. As per USDA, organic food is produced by farmers who emphasize the use of renewable resources and the conservation of soil and water to enhance environmental quality for the future generations. Organic meat, poultry, eggs, and dairy products come from animals that are given no antibiotics or growth hormones. Organic food is produced without using conventional pesticides, fertilizers made with synthetic ingredients. Before a product can be labeled as organic, a government approved certifying agency inspects the farm to ensure all the rules of USDA organic standards are satisfied. So this is very briefly about the organic farming and organic livestock products as per USDA. Now let us understand why organic farming or what is the need. Actually, this is the more sustainable way of farming for keeping everything good in the planet Earth. So it makes food taste better, free from additives, that food material or meat or livestock products, eliminate health risk because no additives of synthetic origin will be there in the use or in the livestock products. It protects the water quality because of the use of synthetic chemicals, fertilizers or pesticides. They reach to water and cause health hazard. Protect future generations' health. So not only today's generation, it protects the health of upcoming generations also. Preserving our livestock, preserve topsoil. Due to the use of too much of chemicals as pesticide or fertilizer, it is affecting badly the topsoil. And preserve biodiversity because this also affects all other species and nature and ecosystem. So in the right side diagram, you will see details about the National Program for Organic Production in India, which we are going to discuss later. Organic livestock farming. Here we will try to understand little more details about the organic livestock farming with more specific requirements. So firstly, provision of conditions to suit health and natural behavior with access to the outdoors, fresh air, water, sunshine, grass and pasture. So these are the requirements to be fulfilled for the livestock. Feeding only organic feed. The dam or mother of animal to be organically raised in last trimester of gestation. That is the last part of the pregnancy, the mother should be given organic feed. No offals of any kind and meat. Strict vegetarian diet. No plastic pellets as feed. No antibiotics, hormone, urea or manure in feed. Animal houses to accord comfort and opportunity to exercise. Facilities for on-site inspection. So these are the little more details requirement for organic livestock farming, and there should be proper facility for inspection by appropriate authority for verification before giving the certificate as a livestock farm with organic farming. Here we will see a direct comparison between conventional and organic farming. In conventional, chemical fertilizers applied for raising fodder, whereas in organic farming, natural fertilizers applied for raising fodder. Here, chemical insecticides and pesticides for raising fodder are used, whereas in this case, biological control for raising the fodder is only applied. In case of conventional farming, chemical herbicides are used to manage the weeds, whereas in case of organic farming, crop rotation and weeding by hand or manually is applied. In case of conventional farming, prophylactic measures to prevent diseases and for the promotion of growth, antibiotics, hormones, medications and vaccines are used. Whereas in case of organic farming, for prophylactic measures to prevent diseases and for the promotion of growth, organic feed, access to outdoors, rotational grazing, balanced diet and clean housing is used. We are talking about organic livestock farming mainly to produce organic meat. So what is organic meat? Organic meat means the animal should be raised in organic way and handling of the meat also should be in the organic way. Organic meat means that are produced, harvested, preserved and processed as per organic standards. So this standard varies from country to country. We are going to see some of the details as per Indian standard. Now we will discuss about organic livestock farming in India. So in Indian context, organic farming is alternative livestock production system allowing for preservation of the environment with a high standard of animal welfare. The demand for organic meat is sharply increasing in developed and developing countries, and keeping that in mind, the Government of India launched National Program for Organic Production NPOP in 2000. As per this program, there is accreditation and certification of organic farms, norms for organic production and promotion of organic farming. These are the objectives of this national program. We are going to see some more details about it. Now we will see the Indian standards for organic meat production. Animals intended for organic meat or meat products must be born and raised on an organic farm. When organic livestock not available, they will be allowed to bring conventional animals with age limits, like 2-day-old chicken for meat production, piglets up to 6 weeks after weaning, calves up to 4 weeks and have been fed mainly a milk diet. So these are the conditions for bringing the newborn from other conventional farm if the organic farm supply is not available. Breeding stock may be brought from conventional farms, but maximum replacement will be 10% only. So in the other side, you can see in National Program for Organic Production, as per this project, they have accreditation body for evaluation and then verification by a certification body, and then there should be compliance by the operator, the specific standards, and then only they will get the approval. Now we will see some more details about the Indian standard for organic farming. First, about breeds and breeding. Breeds should be chosen from adapted local breeds. That is, those breeds which are already adapted in those region only should be selected. Reproduction techniques should be natural. So there is no artificial insemination and such techniques. Embryo transfer technologies are not allowed. Hormonal treatments are not allowed. Use of genetically modified organisms are also not allowed. So this is about the breeds and breeding. Then about housing. Animals are not caged. They should not be kept in cage, particularly in case of birds. Tethered or confined in building without adequate natural ventilation and light. So animals should not be tied in a place and they should have more freedom to move, and there should be enough natural light and ventilation. Enough space for movement and kept in appropriate herd size. There should be enough space. Now we will see about feeding requirements. Animals should have access to pasture and fresh water. Livestock should be fed 100% organically grown feed. In some cases, if the 100% organic feed is not available, 15 to 20% of total feed could be obtained from conventional farm. More than 50% of feed shall come from farm itself or be produced within the region. So this is the livestock farm itself should produce the feed, or they should get it only within the region. Use of synthetic growth promoter like diethylstilbestrol, synthetic appetizers, preservatives, urea, animal byproducts particularly for ruminants, solvent extracted oil cakes, pure amino acids, genetically modified organisms are not allowed for feeding. This is very, very important. Now we will discuss about the animal health care requirement for organic farming. Natural medicines and methods including homeopathy, Ayurvedic, herbals and acupuncture shall be emphasized. Use of conventional veterinary medicine is allowed only when no other non-allopathic alternative is available. If they are used, the withholding period shall be twice the legally required period. Vaccines can be used where the disease is not controlled by management techniques. Genetically engineered vaccines are prohibited. So these are the briefly requirements for animal health care. Now we will discuss about quality of organic products. Organic livestock farming system is associated with improved food quality. Recent studies have indicated positive interactions between organic animal production and polyunsaturated fatty acids, particularly CLA, that is conjugated linoleic acid, and omega-3 fatty acid. So these two fatty acid and including polyunsaturated fatty acid, they are all good for health. Organic products from small ruminant livestock are expected to be less contaminated by chemotherapeutic agents and by other chemical treatments. Organic animal husbandry will promote sustainable agriculture in general and sustainable animal husbandry in particular. Now we will see the requirements for meat processing or processed meat products. There is restriction on use of more than 55 non-organic agricultural products, like the ingredients which should not be used in case of processed meat products. Chemicals like sodium, potassium, calcium citrate, lactic acid are only permitted. Nitrite, as you know, which is used for curing purpose and also in all comminuted meat products, is not permitted. Basically, it is used for coloring and also to prevent the growth of botulism. So nitrite, even sometime phosphates we used, these are not permitted to make the product organic. Now we will briefly discuss about the impact of organic farming on the society. First is positive impact of organic farming. improve drinking water quality due to the less use of chemicals and other synthetic ingredients, micronutrient rich organic foods, rural development, generating income and employment. So these are the positive impact on the society, whereas the negative impact of organic farming: decrease in food security in terms of food availability, access, stability and utilization, decrease production and increase commodity prices. People eat organic food are more prone to some infections like E. coli, Salmonella, etc. Increase risk of fungal toxin, that is due to the not use of preservatives, so fungus may grow that may cause health hazard. These are the impact of organic farming. Now we will see the advantages of organic meat. Organic meat give higher guarantee for the absence of chemical residues. Increase muscle growth makes meat more lean. Organic production reduces abdominal fat in the carcass. Organic meat have better flavor. Organic farming increases breast percentage in the chicken carcass. Organic meat is high in moisture and unsaturated fatty acids, which are more healthy, and it is rich in iron, omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin E. They are also very healthy nutrients. Now we will discuss about disadvantages of organic meat. Lower quality carcass and meat due to reduced energy supply and lower growth as a consequence of more movement of the animals and uncontrolled environment. So the energy supply will be less, animal moves more, so the carcass quality becomes poor, and due to uncontrolled environment the animal has to face more stressful situation. Meat low in water holding capacity, pH and fat, so naturally low in energy also. Presence of Trichinella, a common parasite in case of pig, and Salmonella in case of poultry, E. coli in case of many type of meats are more in organic meat due to lack of prophylactic treatment and outdoor rearing. So meat may have more pathogens, which is a more risk for human health and protection. Market for organic meat. There is demand for organic meat and meat products throughout the world. So particularly in the developed country, people are more health conscious. So normal conventional livestock farming, there is a lot of use of growth promoters and other additives which is creating health problems for the human being. So there is a more awareness and more demand for organic meat. For Indian condition, the supply of meat is still not enough. The available meat is very less in comparison to the demand. So there is not that much demand for organic meat because we need more and more supply of meat. So the conventional or commercial farming is still very important. For exporting organic meat and meat products, animals should be grown as per their own organic standards. So this is very briefly I have discussed about organic farming, different aspects, the advantages and disadvantages. It is still to pick up in many countries, though there is a huge awareness in every country for the natural farming and organic farming and the products. Next I will go to the another topic. Now we will go to the second part of today's lecture, that is genetically modified meat and poultry products. So it is there in the syllabus, though it is not so important or well established technology for developing meat and meat products through genetically modified mechanism. Briefly we will discuss different technological aspect and the advantage, disadvantage and what are the developments. Here you can see the picture of poultry, pig, cattle and sheep developed by this new technology, but there is a lot of controversy and debate about their real application. whereas organic farming is more sustainable for the earth, for health, for ecosystem. So first let us understand what is this genetically modified or transgenic animal. So genetically modified or transgenic animal refers to an animal in which deliberate modification of the genome responsible for inherited characteristics is done. The term transgenic was first used by J. H. Gordon and F. H. Rudel in 1981. The first successful transgenic animal was mouse, followed by rabbits, pigs, sheep, cattle and poultry. Here is some more details about these transgenic animals. Animals which are produced by the recombinant DNA technology in vitro are said to be transgenic animals. Transgenic animals are said to be genetically modified animals or GMO. The use of whole organisms for the production of recombinant protein is a further possibility, and this has already been achieved in some species. The FDA, that is Food and Drug Administration in US, have a separate Center for Veterinary Medicine CVM that regulates genetically altered animal products. Now we will discuss how these transgenic animals are made. Basically they are done by three methods. First one is micro-injecting embryos. The new gene is introduced directly into the fertilized ovum. The second method is retrovirus mediated gene transfer. Here the RNA viruses are used to transfer the gene into the cell. And the third method is embryonic stem cell mediated gene transfer. The gene is introduced into the embryonic stem cell soon after the fertilization and then implanted into surrogate mothers. So these are the three techniques. We are going to discuss little more details next. Now we will discuss the first method, that is DNA micro injection. This is the first method proved to be effective in mammals. Here the micro injection of chosen gene construct from the same or of a different species is injected into the pronucleus of a fertilized ovum. The fertilized ovum is transferred into oviduct of recipient female or a foster mother. The introduced DNA may lead to under or overexpression of gene new to the animal species. In the right side diagram you can see first the gene is manipulated and made ready in the laboratory, then it is injected into the ovum and then it is implanted into the mother, and from which a new one is born which is genetically modified. Now we will discuss the advantage and disadvantage of the first method, that is DNA micro injection. So in case of advantage, you see the applicable to wide variety of species, and the other advantage is shown in the right side. It is for increasing the milk production, increasing the feed usage and growth, to improve the carcass composition of the meat and increase the disease resistance. Even it can increase the prolificacy or reproduction efficiency. The disadvantages: the insertion of DNA is a random process. There is high probability that the introduced gene will not insert itself into a site on the host DNA that will permit its expression. In other words, there is a lot of doubts whether it will express itself properly, and the success rate is very less. Sometimes it is only 5 to 10%. Now let us discuss about the second method, that is retrovirus mediated gene transfer. So here a retrovirus is used as a vector. The genetic material is transferred by retrovirus into the cell to increase the probability of expression. Here the transmission of the transgene is possible only if the retrovirus integrates into the germ cells. Here the offsprings from these methods are actually chimeric. So in the right side diagram you can see there is the embryo from the donor, and from the other side the retrovirus with modified gene is made ready and it is implanted into the female, and from which the transgene founder is created. Here is the third method, that is embryonic stem cell mediated gene transfer. It is the method of choice for gene inactivation, that is sometimes also called as knockout method. The desired DNA sequence is inserted into an in vitro culture of embryonic stem cells. After that, these stem cells are then incorporated into an embryo at the blastocyst stage to produce a new animal. So here also the animal is chimeric. So in the right side diagram you can see there is embryo from which a DNA is cloned and injected into embryonic stem cells. Now these embryonic stem cells are injected into normal blastocyst and then it is implanted into a foster mother. So we have briefly discussed about the techniques for creating the genetically modified animals. Now here we will see very briefly about the applications and achievements of this transgenesis in case of animals. To promote growth and improve the meat quality traits of domestic animal. This is one area. Then average daily gain increased with the supplement of the diet with high level protein. And then reduction of body fat and increased diameter of muscle fiber. So these are the area where there is some achievements with the application of new technology of genetically modified or transgenetics. Here we will discuss little more details about the achievements of transgenesis. The faster growth of leaner meat in the animal model of cattle, swine, rabbits, sheep and poultry, and the transgenic source is growth hormones or growth factors in human, bovine, porcine or rat. Another aspect is altered milk composition like higher protein, particularly in case of cattle. Here the extra copies of casein genes, disruption of lactoglobulin gene has been achieved. Then anti-clotting drug or silk protein in milk, which was done in goat, and here the human anti-thrombin gene or silk producing gene has been used as a transgenic source. Another one is faster growth, especially in case of Atlantic salmon. Growth hormone regulating gene from specific Chinook salmon and a promoter from ocean pout has been used. So these are the different achievements of transgenetics in case of animals. This is about a transgenic goat which could produce the spider silk or silk-like protein in the milk. This is stronger than steel and more flexible. It is used to replace damaged tendons and ligaments as a suturing material in eye or even in nerves. It makes stronger and safer parachutes for soldiers and bulletproof vests. This is about transgenic cows. Firstly, they developed Hermann the bull. The first genetically modified bovine was created in 1990 to humanize his calves' milk. But we have come a long way since him. We now have cows that are less horny and resistant to mad cow disease and other infections. We can even determine their sex and turn out a Belgian blue. So Belgian blue is a breed that has a defective myostatin gene which prevents the muscle growth that results in double muscling. So this is very useful for meat production, which is developed by changing the myostatin gene. Belgian blues are said to have more lean meat and reduced fat content, which leads to significantly more health risk and inbreeding than other breeds. Now we will discuss about transgenic pig with more leaner pork, that is with less fat. So here they have used IGF-1 gene, that is insulin-like growth factor 1. This gene was injected into the embryo of pig, and from which they produced the transgenic pig, and that is more lean and having less fat. So meat or pork is produced with lean. Here is another type of transgenic pig. Scientists in Japan have genetically modified pigs that are both meat and vegetable. So this is dubbed as puppy pigs. These pigs have been inserted with a spinach gene that converts saturated fat into unsaturated fat, particularly the linoleic acid. So that is how it becomes more healthy. So although the pigs have been cleared for any health complications, but there have been a lot of objections from the public, and finally commercially it was not permitted. Here is another kind of transgenic pig. Here the technique used is DNA microinjection, and the idea was to change the omega-6 fatty acid normally present in pig with omega-3 fatty acid. So omega-3 fatty acid is very healthy, which is normally taken from fish or nowadays available and consumed as pills or capsules. So here they tried to change the fatty acid composition from omega-6 to omega-3, which seems to be more healthy, and then it will be a better quality meat. Now we will discuss about transgenic poultry or chicken. So there are certain advantages in case of transgenic chicken. Firstly, it is stable for several generations without silencing. The gene which is transferred, it remains for a long time. Proteins are biologically active, and level of expression in egg white was doubled in 3 generations. So these are the advantage with the transgenic chicken for production of egg or meat with modified qualities. Here we will discuss about a special kind of chicken developed through this transgenic technology, that is featherless chicken. Scientists in Israel have created a prototype of a breed of featherless chicken that can save time for plucking, are more environmentally friendly, and in general significantly reduce the cost of raising. The scientists claim that featherless chickens are extremely safe because they are created by breeding a regular broiler chicken with a naked neck. But in spite of so much of advantage, this could not be commercially produced because it is felt that it is not good on welfare point of view or ethical point of view, because feathers are important for the natural protection of the birds and the skin and from some kind of parasites. So finally it was not commercially approved. Transgenic chicken has been developed for many pharmaceutical or medical use, both from poultry or from the eggs, like production of therapeutic proteins, for example insulin for diabetic patients, production of different kind of drugs, production of monoclonal antibodies, production of different enzymes like lysozymes, production of anti-cancerous proteins, and production of different kind of vaccines. So these are the biomedical use for human health application by using the transgenic chicken or eggs. There is lot of research and development related to genetical modification or transgenic in fish production. Here you can see salmon with a very fast growth. The salmon DNA altered, so fish grow to maturity in half the time. So this is a very successful technology in case of fish production. Now we have come to the end of this second part, that is the genetically modified meat and poultry products. So we will make a brief points like GMOs present both positive and negative aspects to society as a whole. They are a topic of much deliberation and tension, very prevalent in some parts of the world and banned in others. Ultimately, GMOs are still a relatively premature technology, and in the developmental process, only time will reveal their ultimate effect on humans. So this technology is not well accepted everywhere. In case of some crops and vegetables or cereals, some of the technology is approved. In case of livestock or in case of meat production, there are still controversies. Some countries has approved certain things, but sometimes there is risk because they are sometimes may cause some health effect to the human being. So then in case of GMO, the details research is required to study their effect on the health, and nowadays there are a lot of research to detect any presence of GMO origin food. Here is the last slide, which is showing about the doubts about the application of GMO technology in animals and producing the food. So nowadays there are a lot of technology being developed only to identify the presence of genetically modified foods or GMO foods. So thank you. This is about today's lecture covering two different subtopics, and please read the notes and see this lecture properly. Thank you.